Okay, I'm going to take you through a workout that you can do with a broken foot or perhaps a sprained ankle. So, a word about that. If you're not wearing a boot and you're in bare feet, you want to be careful about how you move your foot. So you're going to use a yoga block or a rolled up towel, thick rolled up towel. So when we come onto all fours, your foot is resting up on the yoga block and it's not jamming into the floor if pointing the foot is an issue or if moving the ankle is an issue. We want to try to keep that ankle as neutral as possible. So you can place your feet up on your rolled towel or your block. Now spread your fingers. Feel the middle finger pointed up toward the short edge of your mat. You're going to rotate your arm bone so your elbow crease faces also the top edge of the mat. And then take a big breath. And on your exhale, draw your navel into your spine. And you're going to maintain that core engagement. We want to make sure you're pushing the floor away from you so that the shoulder blades are spread wide on the back. And we're just going to hold this position. Take a big breath through your belly. And then on your exhale, draw the navel into the spine. Now this time we're going to start going into cat-cow. Big breath in. On your exhale, pull navel to the spine, tuck the tailbone, and try to feel the abdominals shorten in the front as the back lengthens. The head comes toward the navel. Take an inhale. And then lift the chin toward the tailbone, making sure your shoulder blades are not collapsing in on each other. You're still pushing the floor away from you. Try that again. Exhale, round the back. And then inhale, back of the head reaches toward the tailbone. You can do that about 4 to 5 times. Then we're going to focus on warming up the shoulders. So we're going to spread the shoulder blades apart so that when you push into the floor, the shoulder blades become wide on the ribs. And then we're going to pull the shoulder blades together. And the chest should kind of collapse through the arms. Push away and bring them together. You want to do this with control so that you're not collapsing and not in control of the movement. So do that about 4 or 5 times. Okay, then going into bird dog. We're going to take your knees under your hips, spread the fingers. We're going to keep the left hand in the floor, take the right leg back. Foot is flexed, if that's possible, or just relaxed, whatever is safe for your foot. Now holding here, take a big breath. We're going to push into the right arm and make sure the right shoulder blade doesn't collapse as you reach out with the left. Thumb toward the ceiling, screwing that left arm into the shoulder socket. You're pressing gently your shin into the yoga block or the floor if you're able to. Hold it here, deep breath, and then exhale. Do that one more time, big breath. And exhale and hold. Now maintaining neutral spine and watching what's going on with that supporting right shoulder, we're going to bring the knee toward the elbow. It does not have to touch. Push out and reach. So what we're focusing on here is stabilizing the spine and stabilizing the supporting shoulder. Pull in and press out. Come back to center. Okay, rest. So the supporting arm might start to get fatigued. If that's the case, just come up. Take a break off the arms, and then we'll go to the other side. Spread the fingers, screw the arms into the shoulders. Spread the shoulder blades apart from each other. Take the opposite foot back. Relax the foot or flex it, whatever works. And then you can obviously do this with a boot. Thumb up, opposite arm forward. Push down into that supporting arm. Keep the core braced, and just take a few breaths here. Exhale, hold. And then try bringing the knee in underneath the body. Elbow underneath the body, focusing on stabilizing the spine as if you're balancing a glass of water on your lower back. This shoulder should not be collapsing. And reach. Do that one more time. And press out. Okay. Here we are going to go into a weight behind the thigh. So, again, using your yoga block or your towel to support the foot if needed. We're going to take the weight behind the free leg and pull the heel toward the hip so you really grab that dumbbell. You can use an ankle weight around your upper thigh. You can use a can of soup. Press down through your palms. Don't let the shoulders collapse. Make sure the head's in line with spine, and make sure your hips are center over the mat and you're not swinging over to that supporting leg. We're going to press the knee away from the floor and then bring it down. Again, what we're focusing on is engaging the butt muscle of the moving leg and not letting the spine change shape. So we don't want to collapse here and then round here. Keep the spine completely still, shoulder blades spread apart, push into the four corners of each hand, and do 10 on each side. Obviously, start with a weight that's doable. If you can't use any weight at all, this can be done with no weight and just the weight of the leg itself. So then you're going to go to the other side, squaring the shoulders, squaring the hips, pulling the navel to the spine, making sure the head's not here or here, but in neutral, and then driving that foot to the ceiling. Feel that engagement of this glute, and then bring the knee down. And you'll do 10 of those on the second side. You can always do a second set. If you find that your back is bothering you, one way to take a little bit of pressure off the back is to go onto the forearms, and you can do it here. You'll get a little more range of motion and a less of a sort of a pinching feeling in your lower back. Okay, so that's an option. All right, we're going to go into a fire hydrant move here. This can be done with a band across the tops of the thighs. I'm going to show it without one. Spreading the fingers, pulling the shoulder blades down the back and away from the ears, and feeling the shoulder blades spread apart. Lift the leg to the side and then bring it down. So this is what it looks like, out and lower. It's okay if the pelvis tips over on its side a little bit, but really try to keep even weight in both hands and try to maintain that neutral spine. So try 10 of those on each side. Now again, this is a lot of weight on the arms. If you haven't done a whole bunch of upper body weight lately, then just take breaks, relax the shoulders, relax the wrist. Again, this can also be done here if that's better on the back. And then you're going to go 10 on the other side. Okay? All right. That worked the back of the hip. Now we want to get into the front of the hip. So you're going to carefully come onto your seat. Use your yoga block as a target. We're going to take the block in the center of the feet, hands behind you, and then just slightly tilt back. Once you get more proficient at this, you'll be able to do it sitting up, but let's start back here. So we're going to engage the abdominals, so there's just very little weight on the hands. Lift the leg with the knee straight, bring it over the yoga block, and then over and over. So core is braced. You'll feel how this is much more challenging the more upright you are, okay? I would just start with either the weight of the boot or no weight at all, because this can be super challenging on the quadricep and the hip flexor. 10 on one side, take a rest. You're gonna sit up tall, pull the navel to the spine, drop the shoulders, make sure you're not up here with the shoulders, and then you're gonna engage your hip flexor in front of the thigh by taking that leg up and over the block or your towel 10 times. And release, okay? And of course you can do 2 sets as well. All right, so we're gonna go into roll-ups. Sitting tall, arms forward, let the shoulders drop down the back. Pull the navel to the spine, and start first by just tucking your pelvis and rolling to the back of the sit bones as you exhale, and then inhale, come back up on the sit bones. So just isolating the pelvis a few times to get the motion in the lower back. Then we're going to start rolling back one vertebra at a time. Remember, you can roll up a towel at your lower back if you're having trouble getting up without sort of hoisting yourself up. You can also place a small weight at the feet. Reach forward, stretch the back, arms by ears. The shoulders will come up into the ears, but then lead with the lower back. One vertebra at a time, the shoulders start to drop away from the ears. Push the backs of the legs into the floor. Take an inhale. Raise the arms. Ribs stay down as the arms come overhead. Exhale, roll up. Press forward, pulling that navel in. You don't want any bulging out of the abdominals. We want those abdominals drawn in as you exhale. Take an inhale at the top, and then exhale to roll back down. And you want to do about 5 to 8 of these, making sure the rib cage does not come up as you reach your arms overhead. And then come up tall. All right, next we have supine 90. So supine means on your back. 90 degrees is the angle of your knees and hips. So we're going to bring one knee to tabletop, other knee to tabletop. You should be in neutral spine, so there's a very small gap at the lower back. However, the backs of the ribs are against the mat. The shoulders are relaxed. We're going to just first hold this position. Your feet can be relaxed if you're not able to flex them. If you have your boot on or your boots, I would use an ankle weight similar to the weight of the boot just to even things out so that you don't have weight on one side and not on the other. Just going to hold this position. Big breath. Exhale, pull navel to spine. Now try to keep the navel in and see if you can breathe into your rib cage. Just put your hands on your ribs. Big breaths laterally into the ribs. And then exhale, feel the core brace. If that's okay and there's no pain or strain in the back, we still have that little gap there. Take the hands on your thighs, drop your shoulders, and straighten the elbows. You may have to move your knees out of the way if you have super long arms. Big breath in. Then on your exhale, give yourself a little resistance. Push the thighs to the hands to the thighs. Make sure there's no strain in the back. You may feel fatigue or work in the back, as well as obviously work in the abdominals in the front, and that's what we're going for. We're trying to find that balance between the front and back of the body. Big breath in. Exhale, hold. Another deep breath, and then lower the feet. Okay, one more. We're going to go into a little bit of a pelvic tilt. Bring the knees back up. Hands on thighs, shoulders down. You're in neutral spine. Take a breath. On your exhale, imprint your spine. So your low back is now flattened to the mat. You're still giving some resistance with the hands. And then go back to neutral. So it's a very small movement. Imprint, neutral. Imprint. Knees don't move. Neutral. Exhale, flatten the back. Inhale, bring that space back into the back. One more time. Exhale and inhale and then lower down. So that's going to just prepare you for the abdominal ab series, which we'll do in a minute. Okay, so if you have weights that you can tolerate doing a chest press, I'm going to use just one. You can use two. We're going to bring the knees back up to tabletop and get it to some chest work. The elbows are 45 degrees off the ribs. If you're using two weights, your palms are towards your feet, your knees are at 90 degrees. If this gets to be too challenging, feet to the floor is always an option. We're in neutral spine. We're going to exhale, push the weights up toward the ceiling, in front of the chest, not in front of the face or the nose, and then bring it down. Exhale to press up. Inhale, tap the elbows and feel the shoulder blades really anchored on the backs of the ribs and against the mat. Exhale, press. Other option, heavier weight, both arms, hold the same weight, and you press up. Palms are facing each other. You're holding the end caps of the weight. All right, either one is fine. If you have shoulder issues, sometimes it's better to use this more closed chain exercise instead of the two independent weights, which requires more stability through the shoulder. All right, so we're going to flip over carefully. After working the chest, we want to work the opposing muscles. So again, if you need to put this yoga block underneath your feet to keep them from hitting the ground, that's an option. We're going to press the pubic bone into the floor. Take your arms out like a letter T. Pull the navel to the spine, and then just slightly lift the chest. We're going to take the arms up and tap down. This does not have to be a very big motion. If you have shoulder issues, you're going to be really mindful of keeping the shoulders away from the ears and not going too far up that you feel a strain in the shoulder. What we're trying to do is just get the muscles between the shoulder blades and the back of the shoulder to engage. This is also an option. A little bit easier, shorter lever, elbows bent. Okay, so your options are on the floor, arms pulling back with elbows straight, or elbows pulling back with the elbows at a 90-degree angle. Okay, I'm going to do 10 of those. Then you can flip back over again and do the chest press, and then come back and do the T pose. All right, so Superman, palms by your sides, belly to spine, shoulders away from the ears, and we want to pull the shoulder blades together so the front of the shoulders are lifted off the mat. You're going to reach long, inhale, and then exhale, come back down. Making sure we're not feeling a compression in the lower back, but more of a reaching through the crown of the head. Lift and lower. Inhale to come up. Make sure the head is in line with the spine. You're not tilting your head up or dropping it down. It's just coming up as a result of the chest lifting. 10 of those. Take a break. Now we want to get a little bit of rotation. So fingertips at the temples. Draw the navel to the spine. Lift the chest just a few inches off the ground. Raise your right leg. Turn your ribs to the left. Left elbow comes up, right elbow hits the floor. And then come back down. What I want you to really focus on is the pelvis remaining square. Lift and twist. Opposite leg comes up and then come back down. Watch the shoulders. If this is challenging on the shoulder, you can do this with your hands on the shoulder down here and just feel the rib cage twist. Don't worry about the arms. But we want to get that back sling working from shoulder blade to opposite hip. Lift and twist, and down, lift, and down. I would do 10 of those as well. Then come into child's pose to stretch. Again, stay off your feet. Put your feet up on a yoga block if needed, and just hold your big stretch here. If you're in a cast, obviously you're not going to be able to take that off. And we want to try to find an ankle weight that's similar in weight to the weight of your cast, or if you're going to wear your boot, same thing as I mentioned before, because we really want to try to maintain equal weight on each side of the body. Okay, so in this position, we're going to come forward into a kneeling plank. So our weight is on the knees and on the hands. Brace the abdominals, take a big breath in, and then exhale and hold. Another deep breath. Exhale. One more breath. Now, if you are able to, come down onto the forearms and hold here. This is a little more challenging. Big breath in. Head is in alignment with the spine. Hold and breathe. You can work up to a minute holding this kneeling plank. Breathe. For a little more challenge, without using the foot, you can take one leg off. Both hips are square and just hold it. Start with maybe 5 or 10 seconds on each side, making sure that you're not rotating your pelvis. It's staying square. Shoulders are spread wide on the back. Core is braced. That can be quite challenging, so be careful with that. Come back and sit in child's pose and rest. Okay, coming back onto our backs. We're going to go into an abdominal series. This is a Pilates ab series. I want you to make sure the neck is not straining. If it is, we're going to take breaks and put the head down. So legs are long. Neutral back, neutral neck. I'd like you to bring one knee to tabletop and then the other. Take a big belly breath. On your exhale, grab behind your thighs. Feel the front of the ribs curl down toward the pelvis. The shoulder blades come up off the mat. The head follows. Shoulders are away from the ears. Belly's drawn in. We don't want this belly popping out. So you're going to keep drawing the belly into the spine. This is called single leg stretch. One knee comes in. Outside hand goes to the ankle. Inside hand taps the knee. We're going to pull in here on your inhale. Exhale to switch. Inhale, exhale. Do whatever with your feet is safe, whether it's flexed in your cast or boot or just relaxed. Good. Inhale, exhale. Want to do 6 to 8 of these. And then take a break if you need it. Big breath in. Exhale, come back up. Tapping the ankles. Arms and legs extend. Circle the arms and come back in. If you are opting to do this with your boot on and your other ankle weight, you got to be really careful with this. It can put a lot of strain on your back. So if that's the case, take the legs more up toward the ceiling. The lower the legs are, more challenge on the abdominals and back. So you can do 6 of these, 6 to 8, and then come back in. Take a break or go into single straight leg stretch. Right leg goes up, left leg goes out. There's the stretch of the hamstring as you gently pull in. You're squeezing the glute of the bottom leg. Press that leg down, engage the glute. And lift. Hip flexor of the top leg, glute of the bottom leg. Inhale, exhale. Navel to spine. Remember, your option is to drop the head and take a break. I'd like you to pause this video while you're doing this if you need the breaks. And then come back down, take a rest. All right, this next one, be careful with the back. Big breath in. Exhale, curl up. You're supporting your head with your fingertips. Don't pull on the head, just support it. Lower the legs, squeezing the glutes, and lift up. One leg at a time is an option. Your lower back should not leave the mat. If you feel it coming off or it's straining, go to the one leg. If you're using weights on your legs, make this very small. Okay, 6 to 8, about 6 of these is plenty. And then come back down, rest. The last one is called crisscross. Big breath in. Exhale, curl up. All right, you're in this position. The right knee comes in. Left hip stays anchored. Twist the left elbow toward the right knee. And then switch. Reach. Goal is to keep the pelvis from rocking side to side. And twist. And twist. 6 to 8 of these. And one more time. And come down. and rest. Okay. Let's just come back onto the stomach and stretch the abdominals. Hold here. And this is called Sphinx pose. Elbows are underneath the shoulders. You're stretching through those abdominal muscles and dropping the shoulders. Okay, we're going to go into the side of the hip. So come on to your side. Knee underneath the hip, opposite leg extended. If this leg has trouble with weight on it, even with the boot, put the yoga block underneath it so the weight is more up on the calf and not on the foot. We're going to use the bottom leg to work the hip, okay? So we're pressing down into the forearm. We're lifting the ribs away from the floor, creating lots of space in the armpit. We're going to press into the bottom knee as the hips come up. And then just lower the hips slightly and push back up again. Watch the shoulder doesn't sag. Down, press, lower. My back foot is not on the floor. Down and up. This is too challenging. You can rest your foot on the yoga block, down, or your towel. Lift, lower. Try for 8 to 10 on each side, okay? So you would carefully swing your legs to the other direction. Bottom knee is bent. Try to get the knee underneath the hip so it's not way out in front of you. It's right underneath. Pull the rib cage up. Draw navel to spine. Stack your shoulders. Push into the bottom leg and lift. Hold it here. You should feel this in the waist and outside of the hip. A little more challenging is to lift the straight leg off the floor. Press, lower, no weight on that back leg. Lift, release, lift 6 to 8, and come down and rest. All right, good. Okay, let's go into what's called single leg circle. This is a great abdominal exercise. I'm going to roll back. Shoulder blades lie on the floor. Belly button to spine, neutral back. All right, the challenge to this for people who have not done it is to take the grip out of your thigh. So we're going to lift the leg. If you're very tight in your hamstring, you're going to need to bend your knee. You're going to turn it out in the hip socket into what's called Pilates V. So the leg is up here, here's parallel, here's turned out, slight bend of the knee. Okay? You don't want to grip the front of your thigh. Where the gripping or the work is in the lower abdominals. We're going to maintain that neutral pelvis and circle the leg right over the top of the hip. This takes quite a bit of practice to get the leg to release and get the abdominals to really work to keep the pelvis still as the weight of the leg and maybe the weight of the boot, which is even more challenging, to circle over the pelvis. You're going to exhale down and then sniff the leg up toward your nose. Exhale down, inhale up, lower, and lift. 6 on each direction is usually ample. Lower, you'll get better and better at this as you work at it. It does take lots of concentration on the abdominals, trying to relax the thigh bone inside the hip crease. Legs straight is an option if you have the range of motion at the back of your thigh. It's your hamstring. Down and lift. Lower that leg. Just readjust the hips and make sure the shoulders are lying flat. The neck is in neutral before you go to the other side. Turn the leg out. If necessary, soften the knee. Circle and hold. This is one of those exercises, the more you do it, the more challenging it gets because you really figure out what should be working, what should be relaxing. It's very, very effective for hip stability and feeling those abdominals work. And then you're going to go the other direction. Down, lift. Try to think of the leg just on a string. Ankle is suspended on a string attached at the ceiling, and it's just kind of circling around like a marionette string, and you're really trying to work the abdominals, and then relax. Okay, double leg circle usually is much more easy to feel the abdominals working. So heels are together, toes are apart. We're in Pilates V. Again, you can soften the knees if you need to. Relax the shoulders down away from the ears, but brace the core. Shoulder blades are on the floor. You're going to circle the legs to one side, over to the other side, and then pause. And then you want to reverse your circle. So it's out to the side, over, and lift. And then reverse. Try not to feel either side of the pelvis lift up off the mat. You should feel a burning sensation or fatigue in the lower abdominals. Circle. Try to relax the front of your thigh. Again, remember to bend the knees if you're feeling that gripping in the thigh. 6 of these, 6 to 8 is plenty. And then lower back down and release. All right, so after all that hip flexor work, it is good to stretch that out. Now, if you're wearing a boot and you're not able to grab your foot, you can use a yoga strap. It does take a little bit of practice. You want to come up, place the strap around the shin, not on the foot, and then come over, and you take the strap over the shoulder and pull the heel to the hip this way. If you're able to grab your foot, don't grab the foot, I should say, grab the ankle, push the hips into the floor, pull the heel toward the hip as you drive your pubic bone into the ground. Rest your forehead on your forearm and just hold this position for at least 15 seconds, all right? Because unfortunately, when you have a foot injury, you're probably sitting more than usual. The front of the hips can get pretty tight. And then obviously try the other side. Pushing the hips into the floor, grab the ankle, not the foot. Pull the heel to the hip and relax the foot. You should feel the front of the thigh engaging. You're squeezing your glutes and pushing that pubic bone into the floor. And just hold it about 15 seconds. And then relax. Okay, onto your back. Hamstring stretch. Don't want to put anything on the bottom of the foot, so we're not going to use your strap. We're just going to take the leg up and pull the thigh this way. If you have the range of motion, you can take your hand up at the ankle or calf, relax the foot, hold here, and try to feel that engagement back here. Try to engage the front of your thigh to pull the leg up, so you're actually using that muscle to make the back of the leg release. Again, hold about 15 seconds, and then lower down. Go to the other side. Hold, noticing which side might be tighter than the other. Try to relax through the foot. Big breath, engage the quad, abdominals are on, and then lower down. If you're able to take your ankle across your opposite thigh, this is a great hip stretch. Hold here, breathe. Again, making sure you're on the side of the calf and not on your foot. Hold it here. If you have a boot, this is challenging. Or if you have a cast, you may want to skip this one. And relax down. All right, so there's a few exercises, a little bit of upper body, mostly core and lower body.